It's not that big of a deal. Something that I didn't expect necessarily to happen, and I had reported on the podcast probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, probably 3, maybe even 2, probably 3, whenever it was, that the Chiefs really did want to keep 4 running backs, like, not counting Mike Burton. They had maintained throughout the offseason they wanted to keep 4. Ronald Jones just wasn't giving them a reason to do it. He was not playing well in camp. He wasn't getting fantastic reps in camp. I know that some people say they were splitting, and they obviously were, but not divvied up the way he would expect with a guy like that. He didn't play well in games 1 or 2. He did play well in game number 3 of the preseason. So Brett Veach even said, I believe it was Nate Taylor or Herbie Teope, one of those two, that broke the news that he was going to make it through. That last game pretty much got him on the team. And the Chiefs are carrying 4 running backs. The injury to Blake Bell and Derek Gore potentially maybe factored into that. I think it was more he played well and the Chiefs want to keep him. I'm interested to see what this means for Isaiah Pacheco. I think Jerick McKinnon, his role probably remains unchanged. I
Doesn't
don't have big
change.
feelings
Yeah.
about him. Pacheco, I'm interested because he showed flashes in the preseason. He's probably a more raw, pure runner than Ronald Jones is, but also probably a better pass catcher already, a better pass blocker already. So I don't know. I find it hard to believe that a player who had almost 1,000-yard season under his belt, like Ronald Jones isn't a star or anything, but he's an okay running back overall, who's a good pure running back, who will run the ball. Like on a team like Tampa Bay, when they were needing him, he was putting up numbers. So I'm interested to see where he slots in, because like I can't picture a world where Ronald Jones
I
gets
have
like,
his spot. I have his spot.
what is it?
He's going to play 0 snaps unless there's an injury to Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
You think
That's
so?
his role. Because where would he, in the passing game, Jet McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire can all do that.
Yes.
In the running game, they're fine with Clyde being their lead back. And they like Pacheco, they like McKinnon. Unless one of them gets injured, I just don't see him playing. Now, they couldn't cut him because somebody else would have signed him. And they probably, who else do the Chiefs have at running back other than these 4? They don't have anybody. So if they couldn't keep Jones on like the practice squad, they just had to roster him because they want a guy who's a good runner, a proven runner on the team. So I don't know if he's going to like this role, and this might cause issues down the line. If there's injuries at running back and the team comes knocking and Ronald Jones gets wind of it, that somebody's knocking about him, he might request them to trade him. But for now, I think his role is just, you're a backup runner, and you're a backup runner in case there's an injury. You're not getting playtime. And it's just because he can't do the things the Chiefs want him to do if they're playing shotgun 11 personnel. He just can't be on the field. So sorry, Ronald, you had your chance to prove it. I just call him Ronald. That feels very disrespectful. But he had his chance to prove that he could do that, and he didn't. So I don't know. It goes to the other guys who proved they could do it.
I think the only route where I could see Ronald Jones getting snaps, like more than like 1 snap, like if they're running out the clock later in the game, maybe they want to throw him in, like whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. If
meaningful
they
snaps.
if they truly do go to more under center, 21 personnel type stuff, which we've talked about this. Will see it when we
did you notice? So there was that whole thing after the first game. Oh my God, the Chiefs running so much under center, and then the next 2 games it was like all shotgun.
Yeah. So the only world where Ronald Jones does that, it's the same world we talked about earlier in the offseason when they signed him. If they make changes offensively, he can fit those changes. If they don't, he doesn't fit what the offense is right now. And that was most of the reason why he was going to be cut. He was underperforming, not because he's bad. He doesn't fit well in Kansas City. So if somebody gets hurt, he can get snaps. I don't think, I just find it, I don't know, the logic for him to get snaps isn't there. I find it hard to believe that he will accept the role that he's probably going to end up getting. So I just have bad vibes surrounding it. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't feel good for how the Chiefs are going to use Ronald Jones and how Ronald Jones is going to accept that.
His role made more sense when the Chiefs didn't have Isaiah Pacheco and didn't like
Exactly.
have confidence in Isaiah Pacheco, because out of Clyde, McKinnon, and Jones, Jones is the best pure runner. But we've
Yeah.
seen, I think that I believe this is the second preseason game, or maybe the third, where Pacheco had a really nice game. We saw kind of what the Chiefs were talking about with Pacheco. Very quick runner, powerful, gets skinny, gets through holes, and gets upfield. Which is not really what Clyde has done, and the Chiefs can't really rely on McKinnon being that for a full season at age 30. So without Pacheco, Jones makes sense, but they have him. So it's kind of, I'm just like, he's a backup until proven otherwise.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And keeping Ford was kind of unorthodox. I really didn't fully expect them to do it. Before that third preseason game, I was like,
The
it's not going
Derek
to
Gore
happen.
injury, I think I was like, ooh, I kind of
Yeah.
see it makes way
Ronald
more
Jones
sense
got
now.
lucky, I think. He should be
I think
thanking
he
his like
might have.
that. And not that he wouldn't have gotten picked up. I think he would have, but
He
he should
would
be
have.
thanking his lucky stars that he's in Kansas City because it didn't look good. He didn't look good. Derek Gore gets hurt. He plays well the last game. Blake Bell also gets hurt. So then there's some roster flexibility. Not that that had a direct impact on it, but it's interesting, man. And I'm interested to see how they handle all four running backs in the preseason. I don't think one person is gonna completely ride the pine all year, but like you said, meaningful snaps, hard to see Ronald Jones factoring in unless they do make changes. And I'm just not buying into it until I see a decent sample size of regular season snaps where they actually do it.
As Patrick Mahomes said, I'll see it when I believe it.